Imagine you're standing at the edge of a jagged cliff. The wind isn't just blowing past you, it's screaming in your ears. Your toes are inches from a several 100-foot drop, and every cell in your body is begging you to step back. For most people, that's a nightmare. For some people, that's the first moment they feel truly alive. They're not looking for the exit. They're looking for the leap. We call them adrenaline junkies or crazy. We assume they have a death wish or a broken danger detector. But psychologically, something very different is happening. Today, we're diving into the psychology of people who crave extreme risk, why some brains only wake up when the stakes are sky high. Culture says these people are impulsive, reckless, maybe even irresponsible. We see a base jumper or big wave surfer and think, they must not value their life the way I do. Psychology often shows the opposite. Many extreme athletes are hyper-aware of their own existence because they visit its edges so often. It's not about wanting to die. It's about wanting to live at a volume normal life rarely reaches. When you're plummeting through the air or dropping into a monster wave, your brain isn't looping that awkward thing you said 3 years ago. It's not thinking about unpaid bills or unread emails. There is only right now. In a strange way, extreme sports become a violent, high-stakes form of meditation. The world goes quiet because it has to. To really understand this, we have to look at the hardware. Psychologists call one key trait sensation-seeking. Back in the 1960s, Marvin Zuckerman started asking, why do some people crave intense experiences, while others are perfectly happy with a quiet evening and a cup of tea? He found that high sensation seekers have brains that respond differently to stimulation. All of us have a comfort zone of how much intensity feels right. Too much, and we feel anxious. Too little, and we feel bored. For thrill seekers, that comfort zone is set much higher. Their reward systems often need more intensity to feel the same level of satisfaction most people get from everyday life. What you feel from a great meal or a nice compliment, they might only feel when they're cliff diving or racing down a mountain. It's not that they're broken, it's that their neurobiology requires a higher voltage to light up. Think of it like a computer's cooling system. Most people are running light programs, email, browsing, everyday tasks. A basic fan is enough. High sensation seekers are running heavy, high-performance software all the time. If they don't give that system something intense to work on, it overheats in the form of restlessness, irritation, and feeling half alive. That's why the person who spends weekends ice climbing can look strangely calm during a crisis at work. Their nervous system is trained to operate under pressure. If you can stay focused hanging off a frozen wall by your fingertips, a server outage doesn't feel like the end of the world. But chemicals aren't the whole story. There's a powerful psychological state that extreme athletes chase: flow. Flow is that zone where your skills perfectly match a massive challenge. Time warps. The sense of me fades. In extreme sports, flow isn't optional. It's survival. When you're mountain biking down a razor-thin ridge, there is no space for overthinking. There is only the next half second. Neuroscientists call this transient hypofrontality. Parts of your prefrontal cortex, the inner critic that overanalyzes everything, temporarily quiet down. For a few minutes, the ego is gone. If you live with a loud, self-critical mind, that silence can be incredibly addictive. For some people, throwing themselves into extreme environments is the only time their brain finally stops attacking them. Most of us treat fear like a stop sign. We feel that pit in the stomach and immediately retreat. For many extreme athletes, fear is more like a compass. It points toward what needs to be mastered. Facing that fear again and again builds a specific kind of self-trust. If you know you can keep your head while paragliding through turbulence, you start to believe you can handle almost anything. Psychologists sometimes call this stress inoculation. By voluntarily entering high-stress situations, you teach your brain that fear is information, not a command. These people aren't fearless. Ask them, and many will tell you they're terrified every single time. The difference is the relationship. Fear isn't in the driver's seat anymore. It's allowed to sit in the passenger seat while they keep their hands on the wheel. There's also a social side most people miss. Extreme sports create unusually deep bonds. When you trust someone to hold your rope while you're hanging over a canyon, you're not just friends, you're a tribe. In a world of screens and surface-level connections, a lot of people are starving for that kind of life and death trust. We evolved in small groups where survival depended on one another. Extreme sports recreate a piece of that old world. But there's a darker edge. When the high is that intense, normal life can feel painfully flat. After touching the sky, grocery shopping and spreadsheets can feel like being a ghost in your own life. Some people use extreme sports as a tool for growth. Others start using them as an escape from a reality that feels too dull to tolerate. The mountain becomes the only place they feel real. So are thrill seekers crazy? Or are they just more honest about how hungry the human brain is for intensity? We live in a world designed for maximum comfort and minimum risk. Soft chairs, climate control, safety rails, algorithms that protect us from surprise. But our brains are still wired like hunters and explorers. They were built to face uncertainty, solve physical problems, and survive real stakes. For some people, that ancient fire simply burns hotter. The thrill seeker isn't trying to throw their life away. They're trying to reclaim it from a world that constantly tries to sedate them. You might never want to jump out of a plane or surf a deadly wave, but you do have your own cliffs. The hard conversation you're avoiding, the career move you're scared to make, the creative project you keep postponing. The psychology of extreme athletes shows us that on the other side of fear, there isn't just survival, there's a more awake version of you. If any part of this felt uncomfortably familiar, if your brain only really turns on when things get intense, or if you're strangely calm in crises but restless in everyday life, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology of people like you, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for exploring the edges of the human mind with me today.